It's Lord Rick, your founder of the Paranormal Ghost Society, and I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview of this old gold rush town. It's called Mormon Island. It was named that for a reason. In 1848, W. Sidney S. Willis and Wilford Hudson, part of a Mormon battalion, they set out from Sutter's Fort to go on a deer hunt, bring back food to the fort, and the men who sustained themselves at the fort itself. They stopped at the South Fork, which is up here of the American River. You can see some artifacts right here of the ghost town. And they found some gold. They came back to the fort. News spread. And eventually all the Mormons from the fort, including other miners in the area near Coloma, the first gold discovery in the Wild West, it spread, and they all flocked to this place they call Mormon Island, which is basically a sandbar. And no, there was not water here. The river ran through here, but then a dam was created in the 50s, which flooded the ghost town and all its remnants. Anyways, it was the first major gold strike after James W. Marshall and Coloma discovered gold. And by 1853, the population here had reached around 2,500 plus residents. It had 4 hotels, 3 dry goods stores, 5 general stores, an express office, many other shops, a dairy, a winery, and half of the town is still today underwater. And if you look over here, I'll take you to a foundation. The first ball, December 25th of 1849, in Sacramento County, was held. And like I said, it was a Christmas ball, and they had it right here on Mormon Island. In 1856, a fire destroyed the entire ghost town. After that, most of the residents had left the area. Some of them stayed as late as the 1940s. A few families remained. Yeah, you had houses, which are no longer here. Some were made of stone. Others were made of wood. They dug a canal. And you can see the canals if you look. I'm going to zoom on in and show you. They had roads, but they also had canals which redirected the water. And I'll show you. If you look up here, the canals ran from the South American River Fork. That way, it diverted some of the gold right to the town site itself. In 1955, well, since 1955, when the dam was created, combining the North and the South Fork to form this lake you see, which is, it's just very sickening to look at because it should be 100 feet high. So basically, 1848, at the same time gold was discovered in Coloma, gold was also discovered here at the American River. In 1954, the Army Corps of Engineers had moved the following cemeteries from the area. Mormon Island Cemetery, Negro Hill, Condemned Bar, Salmon Falls, McDowell's Hill, Carrollton Bar, and Dottons Bar, and in a few scattered graves. They had moved them to the Mormon Island Relocated Cemetery, is what it's called, which is near here, and we also will be bringing you a story of that. There's about 474 plots that were moved. They did not dig up all the graves. There are still unmarked graves that we are walking on. We don't know where they're at, but we have gotten some Gauss readings in certain locations which may indicate grave markers. In 1996, the small mining camp nearby Prairie City, to build the on-ramp to the 50, a cemetery was found. They also moved in 1996 those stones. So we believe that because all the graves were not moved, it left behind some form of energy where there might be some either residual energy from the town, or maybe the spirits are trying to tell us, hey, you know, we're buried here and forgotten. We have nobody to remember us. But when they flooded the lake, they did not get every gravestone. And you're looking at part of the town site, not the entire town site, but part of it. You can see bricks are scattered. Nobody can be perfect. When they built these dams and flooded these valleys, obviously some graves were not marked to the miners. Burial started in 1848. And we're going to come around here, and I'm going to show you guys. There's a lot of artifacts like glass and metal pieces and bricks laying on stumps. They cut down a lot of trees to build the homes out of wood and stone. There is a very large foundation that I'll be filming when I find it. It's like I said, it's a hit and miss. But a lot of people don't know the history of the town. I mean, it was one of the first gold rush towns in the Wild West. That's why we're here, to preserve it. And there are other parts of the town that are underwater still. And if it gets any drier, there's going to be a lot more exposed. But there's pipes. There's even pipes that run or protrude underneath the soil. There's foundations that are half under the earth, barely exposed. And there's even scuba diving gear. It looks like someone tried to scuba dive to check out maybe some of the foundations. A lot of people are looking for treasure, looking for gold, and they're looking to steal from the town. And that, to me, doesn't sit very well. This was part of a foundation. You can see the outline of it. But all because gold was discovered, it drew in almost 3,000 people here. And I mean, it had, like I said, there was 4 hotels. The town was huge, and it all sat throughout these rolling hills. There was no water here. The river passed by, and they made these little canals, so that way the gold would just come right down in the town. And you can see the foundations right here and the bricks. And anyways, you see more foundation here and more artifacts, which I've been trying to photograph just to show you the remnants of the past, which we'll have a special section for that. Just to try to show you how sad it is. I mean, people have basically dug up these artifacts and put them on tree stumps. And anyways, we're going to work our way back around. Ow. That did not feel good. You can see there's also twisted and mangled pipe or steel bars. And we'll come back around the same way. But the town was huge. Like I said, in the 1840s, they had the first ball on Christmas in Sacramento County. And Sacramento's got millions of residents. It's a huge city, and it's close to Folsom. But I also want to key you in on something. At one time, these homes you see did not exist. This was all woods. And if you followed the American River, the South or North Fork, it will take you into the high Sierras. Bigfoot sightings were at a high from the 60s, the 70s, and the early 80s. And then housing developed and boat docks for boats. You can see, I'll show you the boats, for example, in the homes. And so the area became very populated. This town has not been exposed for nearly 70 years. It remained underwater. Bits and pieces would, when the water was low, foundations would pop up, but just bits and pieces. And so now the water is in certain lower areas, but the water should be almost up to the trees. And here we are, we're sitting at the bottom of the lake almost. It was a huge town. We're going to check over here too. It was a huge town. It was a fascinating place. It had a lot of history. And it was named Mormon Island because it was the Mormons that settled here, followed by other miners who heard rumors of gold, came here because it was very rich in gold. The American River, all along the American River, gold was abundant. And you could basically pan for it and strike it rich. These are sandbars. or hills rather, and that's what the town was built on. When it burned down, people left, you know. Some people stayed in the 1940s until they came around and built the dam. They were forced to have to move. All the graves were relocated. Not all, but most of the graves were relocated, and then it was flooded, and a dam was built. And so you can't really see the river because this is the lake, but the river actually flows right into the lake, and then it splits off up here in two different directions, north and south. So Bigfoot sightings along the American River were very obvious at the time because this was all woods, all wilderness. It's not that anymore. But people have reported back in the early 80s seeing a creature at the shoreline, a bipedal creature. And of course, you didn't have all these homes. You had nothing but woods and brush, and you know, it could follow the river and go right up into the mountains and nobody would ever see a thing. Not anymore. This place has thousands of visitors a month. So it's changed. But you can see the landscape. All the trees that are cut, here's a canal, and they also had roads, but all the trees were cut, were used to build up the town. So that's why you see all the stumps. And there was canals made, like I said, to divert the gold. But when news spread that gold was present, all the miners would flock here. And this town ended up growing to, you know, almost 3,000 people. It had 4 large hotels. It was a big place. It was a boom town, but it only was short-lived, you know, from 1848 till about 1856 when the fire had struck. So just a little bit of history. And, you know, we're going to try to bring you a few more sites before we head out of here, but this is Lord Rick of the Paranormal Ghost Society, preserving history, teaching you about conservation, and, of course, you know, giving you a bird's eye view of a town that's been underwater for 70 years and was one of the first gold rush towns in the Wild West. That's why it's so relevant that we're here. It's not about the ghost. I could care less if we got any ghostly evidence. It's about showing you the town site, educating high schools and schools about the Wild West and about the town site and how it was found and how it built up. All over, 3 Mormon men who were hunting a deer and seeing a sparkle of gold, just a matter of a couple hundred feet from here, and decided to build first a mining camp, eventually a town, and then the town site, all throughout this lake you see, there was various mining camps, but the main town site was right here, what you're looking at. Anyways, this is Lord Rick of the Paranormal Ghost Society. Check us out, www.paranormalghostsociety.org.